What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Snap on Ego. My name is Brad, otherwise known as Bradster, and I am joined, as always, by Chris Bootman Bootay. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Brad. Brad is still on his cell phone. He has not fixed his computer yet. So,
We're good.
so I'm still doing additional work until Brad gets up and running. Is that why you're delaying fixing the computer so you don't got to do the editing and stuff?
I cannot express to you how much I fucking hate not having a working computer. It drives me insane, especially considering I decided to go back to school for some dumbass reason.
Yeah.
And I'm doing schoolwork on an iPad. So, but hey, it's not too bad. I have this keyboard here that's just a Bluetooth keyboard, and you can just dock the iPad in the keyboard, and it
Wow.
works perfectly fine.
You're
It's
fancy.
serviceable. Well, so the reason I have that keyboard is because I used to work in insurance and in sales, and I had to use my phone a lot. And that keyboard has 3 connections, and you can press the button to switch between the Bluetooth for whichever you have. So I had to connect it to my desktop, my an external laptop, and my phone. So basically, I could be sending a message or sending an email or whatever, sending a message to a client, or like then texting back a client all from the keyboard. I would just switch between them all.
Oh,
That's the whole reason I have that. So it's
Fancy.
actually paying off for now.
not bad. Not bad at all. So Marvel Snap. How did you like the Deadpool's diner? How far did you get? How far did you try to get?
I got to like 22 million. I got right past Cassandra Nova, and then I said I don't care enough about any of the other rewards.
Yeah.
Whenever I see someone with that 500 million Cassandra Nova variant, I'm like, good for you, but like
That's me. That's me.
it wasn't. So the problem with that is I don't like the variant enough to really go after it. And on top of which, it's just like the rewards between Cassandra Nova herself, the card, and her variant were just more of the same borders you got way earlier in the track.
Yeah.
And then like some extra bubs
Yeah.
was one of the other rewards. So I found that to be lackluster. Now, if instead of the same borders, the red and blue tarnished, I think is what they're called, borders, if those were cosmic borders instead, like way nicer borders,
Yeah.
I would have probably tried to grind for them because I'm a slut
Yeah.
for the cosmic
For the
ones.
borders. Yeah. Those little distressed borders are not like amazing. I almost like the solid ones better. Like I get that they're like, oh, these are better. Look how high they are on the track, and they're a little bit different. But like I don't know the border. I think the border's
Distressed.
the border's not thick enough for it to look cool. Like it just kind of looks like a little wiggly line in the middle of like a silver strip. Like it's kind of weird. But anyways, I got Cassandra. I love Pandart. I'm a slut for Pandart variants. But I ended up going from 15 million to the 300 or 500 million, whatever it was. I did that within a couple hours, right? Like it starts like snowballing, and especially because after you hit the 30 million bub mark, you're refreshing 30 million bubs every 8 hours, right? And it just snowballs. But I guess like
No.
what?
You do?
Yeah, every 8 hours I was getting 30 million. So I started donating those and everything. But
When you read the about, it said it caps at 600K. So
Yeah.
So the problem is, see, that's the thing. I didn't know that.
It was very
And
confusing.
If the game would have told me once you reach 30 million, it refreshes to 30 million
Yeah.
every 8 hours instead of 600K, I would have been like, okay, I'll go for it. So the big portion of why I stopped was because I thought
that was very confusing. I'll tell you, 100% honest, I thought the same thing, and then I woke up and I had 30 million, and every 8 hours I was getting 30 million. But I actually watched It's Guest Gaming's video twice. He did the Marvel Snap main video for Deadpool's Diner explaining it. I watched it multiple times because it was a little complicated, right? Like there were some conversations about like how good was Deadpool's Diner. So the main reason I wanted to talk about this, I did a poll and I said, how many of you got Cassandra Nova? Right? Over 3,000 people responded, like just over 3,000. It was like 3,050. 80% of people got Cassandra Nova. Right? I saw another poll where like 85% of did. So I'm like, okay, that's a success. But some people did comment that, you know, those people who aren't in the know, who don't really follow the community, don't really know like the tricks and strategies and stuff, a lot of them like probably didn't get her or didn't do it in the most efficient way.
Let's backtrack for a second though. Those people also don't get a lot of things in the game because those are the casual players.
Yeah,
they're not trying, and also they probably don't care as much as the player that's actually in the know with stuff like that.
Yeah.
The casual, this is like the equivalent of kitchen table players in Magic the Gathering. The kind of person that goes to the store, buys Magic off the shelf and says, I'm going to get a pack here and there, and they make decks out of all the stuff that they get in packs, and that's it. They don't play any specific formats. They just play with stuff that's together and they play with their friends. That's the same thing that these casual people in Snap are doing.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're caring all that much when it comes to what the meta is or the best cards or how to get them.
And when you put it like that, I think it's honestly just people who are just trying to bitch about Marvel Snap as per usual. There are people who will just always complain about Marvel Snap because like looking back on when Deadpool's Diner was announced, when we first got like teaser screenshots or videos or they were data mined and everybody's like 500 million bubs, oh my god, 15 million bubs to get the new card, and people were losing their shit. But like so many people did it. You start to see how the exponential bub accumulation really sped things up, right? But like, the people are like, well, the casual players probably, it's like, okay, now you're just looking like, is this the first time that you really care about all the people not in the know? You know what I mean?
This is kind of like the equivalent of when white people get upset on behalf of any other culture or race without talking to that group of people. It's kind of like that. Now, look, is their heart in the right place more often than not? I think so. Speaking about people like defending like the casual player and Snap and things like that, I think they have good intentions more often than not. I think the amount of people that are doing it just because they want to be contrarian or like upset at Marvel Snap are probably in the lower minority. I think more often
very
complaining and bitching.
Very optimistic.
I think they do have their heart set on being like helpful or whatever. But yeah, I think they made that correction to the first stage of Deadpool's Diner.
Very quick, too.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think that really sucked. Like, if you lost your very first game and you were out basically for the next 8 hours, I think that's poor design. I think it should be like a Proving Grounds thing where you can keep potentially getting at least into the entry portion of it. But yeah, they did quick work with that. I think Deadpool's Diner was a really cool event, a good event. I am of the opinion that it should be a permanent event. I think it should be a monthly seasonal event. They should always have it there, always have cool rewards. Could you imagine if every season one of the cards in the season, one of the cards of the season was in a reward track? Like that?
So there's something weird going on in the data mines right now. And real quick, before I forget, one of my buddies who is a very casual player, he got Cassandra Nova. He doesn't watch any YouTube videos. He's not on Twitter or anything. And he was able to get her. But anyways, there's something very weird in the data mines. I don't know if you saw, but first off, some Marvel Rivals like cards got data mined, which is something we'll maybe dive into. But there were also other cards that were data mined that aren't part of the weekly releases. Like Tombstone was one of them, like each month. Like, so Tombstone for the Spidey season that's coming up, and then like a couple new symbiotes were data mined, and we don't know what those are for, but Second Dinner told us that they're probably only doing Deadpool's Diner every 2 to 3 months, so it doesn't seem like I don't know where those other cards are going to fit in, but I mean,
they could still do a different style event where you can earn another card. It doesn't have to be Deadpool's Diner, I suppose. Because if I look ahead to the season for September, it's the what's it called? It's who's the season pass card? Oh, it's Symbiote Spider-Man. So Symbiote Spider-Man is September, and then you have Silver Sable, Madam Web, Aranya, and Scarlet Spider. And you said Tombstone was in that month?
Yeah, he was data mined in there.
So he's not a part of the actual spotlights. So yeah, I mean, it would have to be some kind of an event. And if they do something of the equivalent nature of Deadpool's Diner, it doesn't have to be exactly Deadpool's Diner every single time, where they give the option of like, hey, here's another new card that you can grind towards, that once the season ends, it'll just go into the rotation that you can purchase with tokens, and then maybe eventually comes to a spotlight later on. maybe a few months from now. I think that'd be great for the game. I think that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Like, and you know what's crazy too? Like, just because people, it's so hard for people to compliment Marvel Snap on good deeds. Like, do you know how easily they could have made the Deadpool's Diner card like fucking Hydra Bob? You know what I mean? Like, Cassandra
Right.
Nova is a good fucking card. Arguably, like, one of the best cards of the month. And you were able to earn her for free, right? With all the complaining about how expensive it is and the card acquisition, like, the fact that you can get, like, one of the best cards of the month for free. And I'll say this. I don't want to sit on Deadpool's Diner all episode, but, like, I literally saw somebody say that, you know, Deadpool's Diner sucked. They played Deadpool's Diner every single day, and they weren't able to pass 1,000,000 bubs. And either they're lying to me or they're very bad at Marvel Snap, right? Like, you'll trip into a few million bubs, right? Like 1,000,000 bubs and playing every day. Do you know how much you would have to lose? Like, I would want to see how they're playing because they're doing a lot of bad things.
A lot of people were probably so. There's a lot of people that were snapping inefficiently with it. Now, I will say though, to play devil's advocate against your main point that I saw you complain on Twitter the most about Devil's Diner, about people not snapping and more importantly not retreating. If you snap and you get to a certain point, because again on turns 4, 5, and 6 the game auto snaps as well.
Yeah.
If you snapped prior to those turns and then you get to the last turn, right, where after it auto snaps on 6, you cannot retreat.
Yeah.
Because you lose the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even if you retreat.
Well,
so because there's a few tweets that you had where you said it's this turn, why did they not retreat? And it's like, well, you played that card turn 5. The turn 6, if they would have retreated, they were in for the entire thing. You have to retreat turn 5 and earlier to save on bubs.
Okay. Perhaps, yes. Maybe I did tweet about someone in a turn 6. But, like, this is where I really think, and this is what I was trying to explain to people. I'm trying to help. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm trying to help. But this is where the poker experience really, really helped out, right? Because in poker, this was just like a poker mode, right? Like, in poker, there's, you know, I play so little now, I can't remember. Like, there's the flop, the turn, the river, right? And, like, the longer I stay in, the more money I'm getting in, right? So I need to decide very early on. When I get my opening hand, when I get my 2 cards in Hold'em, I need to look at those and say, how long am I willing to stay in this fucking hand for, right? And what are the things that are going to happen? How many bets? How much is this guy going to raise where I'm still going to stay in this? And you're trying to save your money. It's real fucking money in poker. So you get out early, right? If somebody raises pre-flop and my hand's kind of mid, I'm fucking bouncing. And that's the kind of mentality that people needed in Deadpool's Diner. And I did see people get better later on. I started running into less people just staying in for the hell of staying in. You know what I mean? But, yeah, I do think that experience did help a lot, and I hope people did learn, because I know it's impossible to know how strong your hand is, especially when you haven't seen all the locations. But one of the main strategies of Deadpool's Diner was retreat before turn 4. If your hand is not great, neither of you have snapped, get the hell out of there, right? And trust me, I was very frustrated. I was bitching like a motherfucker leading up to Cassandra Nova, because I would snap and then get bad RNG, you know what I mean? Because I had a strong opening hand. So I get it. I get the frustration. But I do think a lot of people were causing their own problems. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. Sure.
Sure. But yeah, I think the overall event was a success. If 80% of 3,000 people got the card, I think that's pretty good. But the other thing I want to talk about, the other new feature, I don't know how much you've played around with it, but the alliances. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, so I made an alliance. I made my own for a few friends of mine, and then I accepted random people in. It is cool to have extra ways to get rewards. I do like how in the chat portion of it shows like recent 8 cubers won, and then you can copy the deck list from there as well.
Yeah.
The bounties are cool. The fact that they're shared, you communicate with your alliance to get bounties selected. Like I already sent a message in. I'm like, can someone else please get these fill location ones? Because it wants you to fill the location 16 times.
Do you all see the same bounties on the board?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, so the 3 that you choose are yours that you claim, right? Those are individual. However, when you go and select them, the tile of like all of them, those are all shared. Everyone sees those.
Oh, okay.
So if you ever notice that like you leave and come back and like there's a different one there, it's because someone took it.
Got it. I wasn't even paying attention to that. That's good to know. Did how many rewards did you guys get the first week?
I have no idea. Like I just the one I just got now was like I got like basically the equivalent of like 120 boosters and like 500
Yeah.
credits.
So yeah, I'm a first off, I'll say my overall thoughts on the alliances. I love them. It is probably my new favorite thing. Like just looking at the fact that we got Deadpool's Diner and the alliances. Like I keep thinking about the people saying like, "Oh, Marvel Snap promised us a new mode," and blah, 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 and they're all like pissed off. Like Deadpool's Diner was a different enough mode. The alliances thing is cool as shit. Like I love the fact that alliances gives me something to do on so many different levels. First off, I don't cook. I don't make decks. That's just not what I do. But the bounties has made me make decks, and like I'm building some confidence in my deck building. Like I put together some random decks because it said win with these 2 cards. I'm just sitting there thinking of synergies, and I actually won some legitimate matches with it, like in Conquest or whatever. So like I like that it's forcing me to do that. And I will say the auto deck builder when I'm lazy has been kind of on point for some of them. Some of them are stupid.
Improved a lot. It's improved a lot.
Yeah. But so yeah, I'm also not the type of person. I haven't done Infinity Conquest in months just because I hate it. I cannot stand getting to the 5th match and getting a polarized matchup. I just want to die with no sideboards. I'm not somebody who grinds post Infinite. I hit Infinite and I'm like, okay, whatever. So now that I have something to do and earn outside of those like super sweaty things, I'm ecstatic. But any MSteez Clan Alliance members listening out there, I'm very disappointed, Brad. I'm very disappointed. The Alliance is released. We filled up. I still got a bunch of applications, and we were just skyrocketing through the points. We were flying. We were like over halfway there within a day or two. And then we fucking missed the final reward by like 10,000 points. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So yeah, I might make some standards. My only requirement is like you're active, right? You're contributing. I don't know what it is. Yeah. I've been trying to get into my own psychology, but Brad, I love free shit. That's what it is. I just love free shit, right? If there's something like Cassandra Nova, if you can earn a card for free, give it to me. If I can earn all sorts of rewards for free, give them to me. If there's a skin like in Marvel Rivals, there was like the new Venom skin that you could earn. I was like, give it to me. You can get a special spray if you hit gold rank. I grinded it gold rank. I did the same thing in Multiverses. So anyways, moral of the story, I'm into free shit, and I might set a standard like, hey, each week you got to earn at least 2,000 points, which I don't think is too high. Earn 2,000 points, or you're out of here. You're out. How many points did you earn, Brad?
Over the course of it, how long was Alliances out? How long do we have it? Like,
it was a week and a day. Like we set after the first like few hours.
I think I finished with 6,000.
Yeah. Like I play a decent amount, but I think I play less than other people. And I think it was just people not focusing on the bounties. But I do need to be a little bit more lenient, I think, at the beginning of the season, right? Because when you're trying to hit infinite and shit like that, I can't expect people to just spend their time doing the bounty boards and stuff. So I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's a last week of the season type thing when I'll be a dick. But I enjoy the alliances. I saw a lot of people bitching like, oh, you do all this grinding and like you don't even get that great of rewards. I'm like, it's free shit. Like it's free stuff, you know? Like
I do think the rewards could be a little bit better, but that's just with everything.
Yeah.
I would always accept better rewards. I will say though, to go back to your original point of how you're saying people complaining that there's not enough new game modes and stuff like that, I am still one of those people. I still think Deadpool's Diner was not different enough to warrant being called a new game mode. It was a fantastic mode, fantastic rewards, but when you get down to it, all it was Marvel Snap with additional snaps and what should be a more aggressive playstyle when it comes to retreating or staying compared to regular Snap. Mm-hmm. That is it. And in my mind, that's not very different
Like,
in the slightest.
okay, since you're one of those people, help explain to me what a different game mode. We might have already talked about this. What would a different game mode
We
look
have.
like? Like playing like Go Fish with Marvel Snap cards. Like I don't.
Just make something different. Give me different formats that change the card pool of like what you're allowed to use. Like maybe like have like pool one, pool two, pool three, etc. Like
But
specific modes.
wouldn't that be the same argument that you're saying against Deadpool's Diner? Oh, it's the same game mode, just different cards.
Card pool changing and changing the actual way a format functions is far different than changing the way a snap mechanic works, because that actually changes the overall meta of that. So here's this: the big
Okay.
thing is like if you get bored of a specific meta, like let's say you're seeing nothing but airship, like everyone's complaining about. Cool, I can go and play pool two meta and have a bit more fun and get back to the basics of Marvel Snap that people like, right? Because there's a lot of counterplay in the higher slots of
Yeah.
the meta currently. Otherwise, what I would really love to see, besides a draft mode, I still think a draft mode would be really cool, which they say they're working on in some capacity. I really want them to change the board. Give me a different mode with the board. Give me a fourth lane. Give me 5 lanes. Give me like less cards in each lane. Now you can do 3, but it's across 5 lanes, right? Give me something like that, or give me one that has like pick and bans for like you can ban certain cards or whatever, or you can ban like certain locations, right? Like just give me something like that. Give me more to the game than just beyond 3 lanes, get the most power. You can snap if you want, because, or also maybe give me bigger deck lists. Give me multiple copies of cards per deck, right? Like give me something that's a little different. Break the mold from what makes Marvel Snap to give me a different just thing to do when I'm tired of doing the same
But
thing over and over.
us like so in Magic the Gathering, right? They have like what like standard and then something else. Like is that like
So the different formats for constructed are going to be basically purely just card pool changes. So standard is a rotating format. It has
yeah.
a pool of 3 years. So whatever the most recent 3 years of cards are, then that's what's in the pool. And then every 2 years it rotates. So the last 6 sets falls off. Those cards are no longer legal, and then you keep building that way. Then otherwise you have modern, legacy, pioneer, vintage, and pauper. So the first 4 I mentioned are just time slots. So modern is 2003 onward. Legacy is the entirety of the game as well as supplemental products. Vintage is Power 9 included, where Power 9 is banned in Legacy, not available, but it's also limited per one copy per deck. And then Pauper is an interesting one that you might like as an idea in Snap. Pauper is only, so you have rarities in Magic. You have common, uncommon, rare, and mythic. Pauper is, as long as that card has been printed at common, you can use it. You cannot use anything above common rarity. So if you had a card that originally came out of uncommon or rare, but then it got reprinted and downshifted in rarity to common, you can run it. So that one's a really cool one. I don't know how that would reflect in Snap.
So
I think that'd be like the pool thing.
yeah, so like that's what it kind of sounds like, right? Like each of those different formats is just changing which cards you could play, but the game rules are the game rules the same though?
Yes, but there are other modes and formats that have different game rules. You have Commander, right? So Commander is now, instead of a deck of 60 cards with up to 4 copies per each card, now you have a deck of 99 cards with 1 Commander, so 100 total cards, and it's a singleton format. And the Commander lives in its own zone that's not in your hand. It's just it's called the Command Zone, and you can play it at any time from the Command Zone for its cost. Every time that commander dies, it goes back to the command zone and gets 2 additional cost added to it to replay it. And then the rest of your deck has to be the same color identity as your commander. So if I'm playing a red card, my whole deck has to be red cards.
Got it. Okay,
and then you can only play 1 copy of each.
See,
that's different rules.
Yeah, because I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to find out. I'm like, are people putting, like yourself, putting like an unfair bar on Marvel Snap, right? Like, don't get me wrong.
I don't think that.
I'm in the same boat as you. I would enjoy more free shit. Like, I'm not gonna complain about more free shit. And like, yeah, new modes, I wouldn't mind too much. Like, I will say, I 1,000% agree.
Give me two-headed giant. That'd be sick. 2v2. Give
Yeah,
me that,
like,
or give me multiplayer. Give me a. They Here's the thing, they could make a board for 4 people. They could figure it out. Like, and like maybe just make it so like you can zoom in on it and then like show this or zoom out and like
or
just
just
have the board
fucking
interactive.
landscape your phone, you know?
Yeah, the fact that we can't landscape in Marvel Snap is crazy to me on mobile.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they could do that. Give me multiplayer, because that's what Commander is. It's multiplayer, by the way. It's four people, one v
Oh,
one v one v one, and you could like make alliances and do like the politics thing of like, hey, Chris, me and you got to gang up on this person because they're way ahead.
yeah.
We'll figure out each other later, but for now, we have a temporary truce because fuck that guy,
Yeah.
right? It's just a different way to play. And I'm not even that big of a fan of Commander when it comes to Magic, but I enjoy it on occasion because it's a different way to play the game.
Yeah, I will say I'm in the same boat as you. I guess I'm not super upset about it, but like, yes, like when I stop playing Marvel Snap, it's not necessarily because I'm bored of. Well, it does kind of affect how I'm able to play. When there's like a super meta deck, right? When all I'm running into is Arishem, when all I'm running into is Thanos, when all I'm running into is the same fucking archetype, I just don't want to play. I don't want to play, right? Because there's specific decks that like work better than others and da 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 da. I like when there's a wide range. So I will agree that if there was something where I could just be like, okay, I don't have to worry about that deck for a while, right?
Yeah, like there's no Series 5 cards in a certain format or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if it was just a curated format that had a ban list.
Yeah, if I could just ban, like, if I had a ban, like for example, I was watching, like, Marvel Rivals, like, they did a tournament, again, for the beta, and they did a pick ban thing, right? Each team got to ban 2 characters, you know, and it kind of shifted things, right? Like, if somebody was really good with a character, they would ban it, you know? So, yeah, it would be nice, like, I'd be able to take a break. I think the Alliances has given me a tiny bit of that by forcing me to try other decks and see what can work and like making me switch things up, you know. But I would like if I could just say, okay, this is the top deck archetype in the meta, and I'm gonna ban this, or I'm gonna go to a mode where I know this doesn't exist. And because I try to think every time, like when you're mentioning these possible different formats, I just think about Second Dinner's philosophy of we want this to be a fast game. Right? And like adding those things.
I'm sick of that. Who fucking cares? Because you have Conquest in your game. Who cares? Who cares? As long as you have that mode, it doesn't matter. You can release so many different game modes that are still fast. That doesn't mean you have to have every single one of them be 3-minute games. And guess what? The majority of them would be 3-minute games probably, because if we're doing different formats, the rule structure is the same. It's just the card pool is different. That could be a start. Yeah. Just give me different modes. It's like, we don't want to change the queue. Dude, right now you boast like 100 million players or whatever in your game. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, just try something.
I think
one last thing, the biggest issue that I have, and the reason that I get annoyed about like these being touted as game modes or like additions to the game, is not because I'm just sitting there going screaming like I want new game modes. That's not just that. It's the fact that they've promised new game modes for well over a year, and they keep pushing that portion of like their roadmap back further and further. And then they're like, "Hey, Deadpool's Dine is a new game mode." It's not. Sorry, it's not.
Yeah, I do. That
because your promise.
You were still running into like the meta decks and stuff. I do think something simple would just be like pool 1 only, pool 2 only, or like, you know, even pool 4 and below, pool 3 and below. You know what I mean? Anything like that, I think would be very easy to implement. You know, I do wonder then, like, how long would queue times be and stuff like that.
If queue times in Conquest are what they are right now, which is perfectly fine in my opinion, like I never wait longer than a minute or two, and like in the higher ones in Gold and Infinite, Silver and Proving Grounds, I always find a game within like the same queue time as Ladder. Then I think other modes would be fine. I do.
Yeah, I hear you. Let me share this. Boom. How do I do that and still make us big? Oh, Discord, you're so silly. All right, that'll work enough.
If you just click on the screen share, it should I see us in a box in the screen share.
See, I do that, and then we're at the bottom. We're all small. I guess people don't care about our faces. Whatever.
Oh well. Yeah, let's talk about these balance changes.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the balance changes. There's some that were very minimal, like power increases on Apocalypse and War Machine.
Let's get those out of the way real quick.
Okay, Apocalypse got +2 power. War Machine got +1 power. Blob got he maxes out at 13 power rather than 15. Oh, he doesn't max out. Yeah. He
stops eating once he gets equal to or greater than 13.
Yeah, exactly. And then Widows.
So if you still eat like a couple of like 5 power things and then the Infinite, he'll still hit like 30 power.
Yeah, or if you eat the Infinite, you get 20.
He
power
just becomes
or
a 20.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Widow's Kiss got what? Still stream? Why did that cut out? Oh, okay. But Widow's Kiss got decreased. It's -3 power instead of -4 power though. So those changes, in my opinion, like we're about to go over some of the other Airshim adjacent cards. The Blob one, I don't know if that was necessary. Like
he's still good.
Yeah, he's still fine. I just don't know. They made so many other changes to like Airshim decks with these other ones we're gonna go over. I don't know if they need to change them. The other ones are fine. I don't know how much people are gonna be playing War Machine now, even though I'm still of the opinion War Machine's underplayed. But I do think.
Have you tried that deck? My Hellfire deck?
No, wait. Did you post it somewhere?
I've sent it to you a couple times.
No. Is it an old deck?
Not super old, but it's so basically it's War Machine with Infinite, like that's like the main idea, and you have Magic to go to turn 7, and you have Ebony Maw, you have Stature, and you have Miles Morales, all as your 1-drops that you want to play alongside Infinite on turn 7, and then you have a little bit of move package. You have Silk, Spider-Man, Nightcrawler, and Jeff to be able to enable Miles Morales. And you got Black Bolt Stature, and then you just have good cards. You have like White Widows in there, obviously War Machine, and yeah, that's pretty much the deck. It has been awesome for me. I love it.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would get down with. I do enjoy War Machine. I think he's great, but yeah, we'll see. He's coming up in a spotlight in a month or two, and I'm wondering if they're going to rework him. Maybe still not seeing that much play, but I am happy that Apocalypse got 2 power back, putting discard a little bit back out there. I did have some like discard challenges, and I was happy to play it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take this extra 2 power. But anyways, the main meat and potatoes of this recent balance change. We'll start off with Loki. Loki went from a 4/5 to a 3/5. So now instead of transforming your hand, he replaces your deck with your opponent's starting deck, still gives him -1 cost, and he draws a card. So I saw a lot of people saying, oh my god, you made Loki better in Airshim, da-da-da-da-da. I honestly haven't run into it much, and I haven't played it yet. So I don't...
I can help you out. I have played it quite a bit, and I've played against it quite a bit, because Lord knows, if you queue in with Airshim, you're going to play against the mirror a lot. It's just how it works. And then if I play as Darkhawk, I never see Airshim, ever. So it is how it works. But yes, Loki got better in Airshim specifically, which is fantastic. Being able to turn to Loki and then take your opponent's deck, and which again is a starting deck. So even if you're in the mirror against Airshim, it's still a good play, because what's in an Airshim deck? All counter cards, blob, and big stuff, right? Pretty much. So being able to take that at reduced cost on turn 2 and draw into it, fantastic. And then any other deck that isn't discard is fantastic for Loki to steal on 2. Now, I will say though, fucking hate this change for everything else, because what is a Loki deck now?
I don't know.
Because what happens is it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 90 cards in your deck, right? You replace what's in your deck with the starting deck. So you always replace it with 12 cards. So it's not like if they ever release cards that add to your deck, that Loki's going to be improved in that sense. I guess it's a good counter to Darkhawk because maybe like in the late game you can play Loki on turn 6, and then like if your deck is super big compared to Darkhawk, or that's for Arsham, but his deck goes to 12, so you're most likely helping the Darkhawk player. It's just like, I know they say in the notes that they don't want Snowguard and like Agent Coulson to be like Loki cards, and they say it also limits their design space for cards that generate stuff to your hand. But then like, there's no more dedicated Loki deck.
Yeah,
because now Loki can just be a card you put in every deck. Because there's no cost to running him now. And sometimes you just say, okay, your deck is better than mine at the moment. Do that.
I do.
He lives in Ayrsham now, and I think that sucks. I think that sucks.
I do think, it does. It does kind of depend. Like you said, like in a mirror match, it's great. And I was trying to pull it out. And by the way, anybody watching, or I don't know if you know this, but for some reason, look at this. It's saying your stream is still running. We've paused this preview to save your resources, and I have to like click back to get the image.
Yeah,
Anyways,
it does that. No, I can still see it. It's fine.
Yeah, but
that's just the Discord thing.
But the play rates dropped to 14.3%, which is okay. I'll take it. It's
weird because they cite Ayrsham as like a big reason for this change for Loki, in addition to the hand generation stuff. But like, you just made it so that Loki can only be an Ayrsham card now. You just made him an Ayrsham card.
Yeah.
I think the change is fine from a balance perspective. I think Loki's still a good card, but the problem is, again, he loses his interesting factor of like, how do you make a Loki deck? How? I don't understand how you can. I think it's legitimately impossible to have an actual Loki deck now.
Yeah, no, because that was the main thing I liked doing, was just hand fill, hand generation. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you'd pull some good cards with like Coulson, or you had your Snowguard, and you just went that route instead. And now it's just like, nope, I'm just that you don't really build around Loki in that same way, So I agree. I'm like, but yeah, as far as better or worse, I'm not sure. Time will tell. But
it feels like a lateral move. Like it's certainly worse in the sense of like late game Loki. Like if you turn 5 Loki, for example, like go Snowguard Loki on turn 5, right? You could still have a really explosive turn 6 and win like that. Now Loki has to be a turn 2 or 3 play. Like you ramp into him with Ayrsham, or you just play him on curve on 3, and that's what he is now. But again, the biggest problem I have is just not the fact that he's better or worse, which admittedly he is worse comparatively. He's just not an archetype anymore. That sucks. They removed functionally an entire archetype from the game.
Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if it'll stick or if they'll do something else. But the next one is Leech, and I kind of love the Leech change. I'm a fan. So, anyways, Leech is now a 4/4 instead of a 5/5, and instead of removing the text from on reveal abilities in your opponent's hand, he removes the text from 6 cost cards in your opponent's hand. So it's like old Leech, but it's only for 6 cost cards, and he costs 4, and I kind of love that. I'm down with it, right? Like, because the old Leech, or the most recent Leech, one of the issues was it kind of didn't do shit against ongoing or certain other cards, right? And I was just like, it was still very effective against on-reveal cards, but I do like how this is narrower, and I'm a fan of like, bounce decks and stuff like that. There's a lot of decks that I play that don't even use 6 cost cards. So I'm like, okay, this is cool, But you sound like you're not as thrilled about it, Brad.
I mean, it's fine, I guess. You can turn 4 Leech into turn 5 Blink again, which is what made Leech decent in that very short time frame that they had. They tried that change originally. So I guess in that sense, technically Leech is still free to run in Blink style decks where you can get his effect off and hits any 6 costs in hand and go from there. It's just, I don't know. It's they keep trying to go narrower and narrower with Leech's effect. I don't know, because like I'm starting to think maybe it's time to just go back to the drawing board completely for Leech and just think of like something else. I did see someone say an interesting idea was so you know how Sauron removes ongoing?
Mm-hmm.
What if Leech was the same cost, like a 3 cost as Sauron, but it removed on reveal from all of your cards in your hand and deck? Which would then give them a design space to create more bad on reveals for good bodies, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like think of like Destroyer, right? That'd be cool to be able to have a Destroyer that's like now, like it could be like it's
But
another angle of like a 0 deck.
but that would kind of like change Leech's purpose in the game, right? He's meant to be kind of like something to keep certain turn 6 moves in check. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
if
but
you
he's not doing that right now with this card.
well
Like
well right now let's say Airsham is the top deck and it's running Blob, right? Leech hits Blob.
if they have it in hand, sure.
Yeah, right? So
Give me a Leech that does this to their hand and deck then.
well that's just mean, Brad. That's a lot.
I know.
You're taking
Yeah,
their
that's
small
the thing.
chance to top deck
Leech
something decent.
Leech doesn't do anything effectively when it only hits a single criteria of cards, a card that you're fine with top decking at any point late in the game because you have until turn 6 to top deck your 6 cost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to just fall back away from your 6 cost. How many decks are in the meta right now, Chris, that fully depend on a 6 cost being played? On top of which, you mentioned Blob. I can play Leech on 4. They play Blob as early as 5 or 4 on occasion if they can get a little extra additional ramp involved.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, if you hit it, that's great. But more often than not, you're whiffing. You're not hitting very many cards in the meta right now.
Well,
you can hit Ultron. That's cool.
Yeah, Ultron's a big one right
because
now.
people, okay, this deck right here is an auto-generated deck that just people have loved playing. I don't know who created it. I've only seen it made auto-generated. There's no Patriot in it. It's just Ultron for the fact that you can spread it out and it goes with Sandman. I don't know who came up with that deck, but I don't think it's that great.
I was playing a different deck, kind of closer to this, but it was a little bit different. I saw a streamer. I keep forgetting his name. I just found out about him, but he's like in the top 100. But it was like an Ultron Sandman deck. But I do think some people are playing like variations to do the bounty for like fill your board and shit like that. But
okay, so go back up.
This one
Exclude Ultron.
Exclude Ultron.
Yeah, decks without Ultron. No, you did it with Ultron. Exclude.
Oh, Brad. Okay. There.
Okay, let's find 6 costs.
Sarah, no. Vision, no. There's Magneto. Oh, look at this Airsham deck. It's running 3 6 costs.
Yeah, I mean, Airsham specifically likes 6 costs. But again, you get to draw.
And I guess I wouldn't really count Mockingbird because a lot of people are playing Mockingbird way before turn 6. Anyways, right? All right, you're making a point. There's this deck, the discard deck.
Sure.
The destroy deck. Yeah, I guess not a ton.
And a lot of the decks that like play like look at Darkhawk. Darkhawk's tops out now at 5. They're either playing like the Black Bolt Stature version, or they're just like doing like Darkhawk with Cassandra Nova, with like some other ongoing package like Ravonna, Iron Man kind of stuff, right? And then you just run Mystique and like Cosmo to protect your stuff. That's how Darkhawk's evolved now.
Yeah.
To like just top out of 5. It's not doing the classic Darkhawk thing of like I'm gonna also run Red Hulk or
Doctor Doom. Yeah.
It's not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And when your best deck that you hit is a deck that has like a 40% chance of even drawing any of those cards that you could potentially hit in Airsham over the course of the entire game, by the way, even lower by turn 4 when you're playing your Leech, I don't think that's a very good card. Yeah. I think I understand they want it to be a release valve where they can kind of like, keep certain things in check, but no one's going to turn to Leech to keep 6 drops in check. Yeah. I really don't think so. Like, what are you cutting to? You know what people are going to put in their deck to stop a 6 drop? Shang-Chi.
Yeah. I don't know.
At the same cost, by the
way. we'll see. Yeah, maybe
or
it's
they'll put Eliath in there.
yeah, life is
They'll be
good.
like, oh, I'd rather just gain priority, which Leech doesn't do a good job of helping you gain priority anyway because it's a 4/4, right? So I'd rather just play a better 4
Why not
cost,
just run?
like
No, just run
Gwenpool.
Leech and Eliath. Just run them both.
Sure, I guess, but then but Leech isn't helping you gain priority for Eliath.
Yeah,
On
that's true.
4, I'd rather play something like a Gwenpool to buff all the cards, especially for turn 5.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm playing just like a Darkhawk deck or something like that, and then I want to play Eliath at the top end.
Yeah.
Or just maybe I want to throw priority, I guess, to get Shang-Chi down. But again, there are better forecasts be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, in my opinion, I'm like, we'll see. Like, some of this is just they're trying to lower the play rate. Like, one of the main things they said was, the dev team was like, hey, there's certain cards that we don't want to be insanely popular, right? And they don't want Leech, Dr. Octopus, which we're about to talk about, da-da-da-da-da. So maybe if this just takes down the popularity, but if it doesn't make him functional, then that'll be kind of an issue. But
what was that one card that was data mined? Remember it said destroy all 6 costs wherever they are?
I think that was the original.
Was that?
Oh, that was Gore the Butcher, the God Butcher.
Yeah, give me that.
Yeah.
Let that be Leech. Don't make that Leech's effect. Give me Gore the God Butcher. Let me destroy all 6 costs, and there you go. Now you have that narrow, super niche thing that attacks 6 costs in the game like you want, and that gives you free range to change Leech. That's amazing. They have this in the docket that we've seen data mine.
Yeah.
This card that does the same thing Leech does. Listen to what they say. They say this has been a tricky card for us to land where we want it. The last change proved whatever the function primary tool for letting us decks prove force, and they don't want things to overlap with other strategies, like with other answers, something like that. Just like you said, but it does. It does with one of their data mine cards. Now, of course, Gore the God Butcher could have changed behind the scenes, but they've already toyed around with that idea. So just use that guy for your 6-drop answer and let Leech do something else. Maybe do the 1 cost thing where he's like Iceman, but he silences a random card in their hand. I don't know. It just feels like they keep trying all these things, and they even admit that first sentence, this has been a tricky card for us to land where we want it. Yeah. Because he's either easy to slot in any deck and he's overly oppressive to people's idea of fun. But I don't think he's overly oppressive in the sense of his win rate, except for when he was a 4 cost, because Blink made him much better. But he's either goes against everyone's idea of fun, or he's underplayed and bad because he's too niche and there's better cards that answer the same idea that Leech wants, what you want Leech to do, and no one's going to play him. So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place constantly. Why don't you just make it the singular effect that people have suggested forever, like an Iceman, like a Spider-Ham, and just let him exist in that vein, and then give us a big bad type of card like Gore the God Butcher that does this crazy, impressive effect of just killing all 6 drops.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I forgot about Gore the God Butcher. That was data mined so long ago. I wonder if it's even still in there, or if it's one of those ones where they're completely going back to the drawing board. Because we have a Thor season got data mined. Thor season got data mined for was it November, and he's nowhere to be found. You would figure that would be the perfect time to do it. And yeah, well, while you're checking, I'm trying to figure out how to pop out this stream window. How do you pop it out?
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, there should be an option to just a little expand button.
No, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, Gore. I mean, he's still, according to Snap.fan and Snapzone, I checked both of them, he's still listed as a 0/0 on reveal, destroy all 6 cost cards wherever they are.
Huh.
So, I I imagine he himself would be a 6 cost, like a 6/3, something along the lines of like a leader's stat line, But does that make
why would that? But then you would have to ramp him.
He could be a 5 cost, like old Goliath was.
That's what I would think. It's just boop, like, because you'd have to get him out before turn 6 unless you force him to be in a ramp. But yeah,
do you think he'd be like a 5-1, 5-2 type of thing?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. They would make him super low power, so to balance out that massive effect. But I think that would be a good release valve for like really strong six drops. Like just boop, just wipe him out. I'd love that.
Yeah, if you just make him low enough in power where he's just not a blanket free thing to run for everyone.
Yeah.
Then I think that'd be a sweet little valve right there.
Yeah.
I would love that.
All right, but last up we got Dr. Octopus going from a 5/10 where he pulls 4 cards to fill an opponent's lane. Now he pulls the lowest power card. He's a 4/8 that pulls the lowest power card from your opponent's hand to their side of the location. So you're only pulling 1 card, and it's the lowest power card. I see this, and I've seen people playing with Dr. Octopus still. I'm like, this is a dead card. I don't really see how this is good in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. 4/8 is a very good stat line for a 4 cost, but I'm pulling your lowest cost card. It doesn't really screw you.
Well, it's your lowest power card.
Or your lowest power card. So when is that? Am I missing something? When is that a great scenario for you? Right?
So he still functions as lane clog. He's just not free lane clog anymore, where he's just automatic. So 2 things. So he's slightly worse when it comes to lane clog, but he no longer just dies to Shang-Chi, which is one you'll probably pull down quite a bit anyway because it's only 3 power.
That's the only card I pulled. So
yeah, so you won't die to Shang-Chi anymore. You also remove a Shang-Chi from the equation that doesn't give them value, which allows you to set up power elsewhere. On top of that, I haven't tried it yet, but it's been on my docket. I guess I can now this season. I wanted to go back to a Selene deck that runs him, because Selening a random card of theirs that they might hold on to.
I'm liking that idea. Yeah.
And then you pull it down and force them to run it, especially if they were running something like Iron Man or whatever.
See, with the current or recent meta, all I can think about is I'm pulling a Athena, an Angela, a Jeff. I'm pulling an Iron Man. You know what I mean? I'm just I'm pulling a bunch of shit that I really don't want to give them for free. That's where my brain goes. There's a lot of really good low power cards with a decent play rate right now.
Cassandra Nova is one of them. I had Doc Ock still in my Airsham deck for a little bit, and then I found myself pulling Cassandra Nova a lot.
Oh, yeah.
While I'm playing Airsham, I'm like, oh, wow, I just gave them a free 327 or whatever that I now have to commit resources to get rid of. So, yes, there are some issues with him, but, I mean, they're kind of the same issues you had before with the original Doc Ock, of, the floor is pretty fucking low, of how much you can get fucked over, but the ceiling is really high. So it's a super high risk, high reward card, and that still is true. But I will say the risk is now a little bit less because you can curate what your opponent has with things like Selene, and with other lane clog type of cards anyway, with debris and stuff like that. Because look, even if I pull down a Cassandra Nova, right, or I pull down Athena or whatever. Which, by the way, if you're pulling down Athena on turn 4 and they haven't played it yet, I'm not too scared of Athena. But anyway, if you pull cards like that into a lane that you've clogged effectively and now it's filled completely, you have now essentially potentially a free lane to win. Because now I don't mind dedicating a Shang-Chi to a lane of that type of scenario, because now that Shang-Chi means I just win that lane. So I just have to focus now for the next turn, at least on turn 5, to focus on where I can put my power elsewhere on the board. So I don't think Doc Ock's a dead card. I think he is worse in a lot of ways, but he's also better in some ways as well compared to this old version. I think overall he goes from being an incredibly powerful card in things like Airsham to being slightly more niche, but still relatively decent power. Going from being an A card in a deck like Airsham to now being probably a B card in your junk deck and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just let me know when you put together a deck with Doc Ock and Selene. That's something I want to mess with. But all right, let's run through these new cards for the Young Marvel season, which at the time, or Young Avengers season, Time of recording this, just released today, just started. Fun story. We're about to talk about Marvel Boy in a second. For months now, I have not pulled the new card on my first pull. This is the first time I've wanted the card and the variant in there in a while. I pulled Marvel Boy first draw. Brad watched me do this right before we started recording. Marvel Boy first draw, had to spend 4 fucking keys to get the Red Hulk variant. So, but this time I'm not mad.
You asked me. You asked me.
He advised against it. He advised against it.
Yeah, you said, should I go for this variant? I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, so, but as we'll discuss, one of the reasons I don't think I'm going to be getting many, if any, cards this season. But anyways, let's start out with Kate Bishop. On reveal, add 2 arrows to your hand. And she has 4 arrows that she generates. She's a 2/3, by the way. 4 different arrows that she generates. Acid arrow. On reveal, switch sides. It is a 1 -2 stat line. So a little mini, like a little mini Green Goblin. Basic arrow. On reveal, if you play a card at this location next turn, +3 power, so it's like a little mini Hawkeye. Grapple arrow.
It's just straight up Hawkeye. What do you mean?
Yeah, straight up Hawkeye. So the grapple arrow.
Is it old Hawkeye?
Old Hawkeye's +4. Yeah, so this is a mini Hawkeye.
Okay.
So grapple arrow on reveal, after you play your next card, move it to this location. And that's a 1/3 stat line.
1/3 is decent.
And then Pim Particle Arrow ongoing. If your side of this location is full, +3 power. So it's like a mini, little mini Ant-Man. Yeah.
You have the old stat lines of Ant-Man and Hawkeye as her arrows.
Yeah.
I wonder if the first round of buffs they'll give her, if they do, is just bring those to the current mirroring stat lines of their respective counterparts.
I think this is a good design though, right? Like these are arrows, they're not actually cards. They're not supposed to be as powerful as some of those other cards, you know? Like,
sure.
I personally think, out of all the cards we're going to discuss, I think this is one of the best cards of the month. I think she's going to be a lot of fun, versatile. Like, I love Nico Monaro. She's a little different style Nico. What do you think about Kate?
I think she's cool. I'm excited to try her in a actual like double dino collector type of deck.
Yeah.
Now that Loki is a dead card in that archetype, I can try making collector work again with cool stuff that generates things.
I have a great collector split. I want to do the same. So I'm excited. I'm excited to mess around with Kate as soon as I have some time to play.
She's probably. I'm gonna. So I guess. To provide any spoilers, I suppose, as we go through these, I'm going to say she's going to be the second best card of the month.
Okay, well, let's see where your first is. The other card that released today is Marvel Boy. After each turn, give 3 of your 1-cost cards +1 power, and he is a 3/2. And I think he originally was give each of your 1-cost +2 power, and they took it down a notch to +1.
Yeah, that was insane.
But yeah, what do you think?
He's my number one.
Yep.
Number 1 card of the month. He's very good. He's like that. I feel like that last missing puzzle piece for Zoo, because they have their normal buff cards. They have Khazar, they have Blue Marvel, right? They have Shayna that got recently buffed to be a 3/4, so she's effectively like a 3/8, 3/9 on average on what she can generate. They have Kyera, which protects against Killmonger. You have and then you have like Squirrel Girl also continues spreading. She got buffed to 1/2 and everything like that. Ant-Man got buffed. He's really good. So you have Dazzler, which is really good in that kind of deck.
You're forgetting, you have Mockingbird, which is also now protected, which is also protected by Kyera.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you have and Gilgamesh. Go tall card. So you have all these pieces, and now you have that final one little piece that, remember the rule of 3, you have now 3 buff cards for your 1-drops.
Like,
that is really good.
That was one of the...
just insane.
Yeah. That was one of the main issues with Zoo. It just never got big enough. It just didn't get big enough. But just even prior to this, one of my bounties had something to do, I don't know, maybe it was like Patriot and Squirrel Girl or something silly. But anyways, I started making Gilgamesh decks again. I'm like, fuck, I love these decks, right?
They're
like
fun.
Gilgamesh gets big. And now that you have this too, like they're going to go tall. They're going to go tall and wide, right? Like if I have freaking Mockingbird in a lane, Gilgamesh in another lane, and then just a lot of these little 1-drops just blowing up, like getting extra power. Like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I saw people on Twitter like, oh, I'm going to be playing Killmonger and oh, I'm going to use Enchantress for your Kyra. I'm like, if you're just like, if all you could do is run like a Sarah Control to counter me, like you deserve it, right? If you got to put all that work in, go for it. But
I do wonder if Armor should come back into the deck in addition to Kyra. Because Marvel Boy is focusing pretty heavily on one drops. Now, we're talking about Zoo, right? I got one other deck that I think Marvel Boy's going to slot into and make it a lot better, and that's High Evo.
Oh yeah, I saw somebody post a deck list too, because you got Sunspot, maybe Nebula, you got Misty Knight, like.
Yep. I think you do run all three of those if you're going to run Marvel Boy, because even if you don't have all three out, because click on them real quick for me. What is the exact wording?
After each turn, give 3 of your 1-cost cards plus 1 power. So it doesn't repeat it. It just gives 3 cards. So if you only have 1 card, they only get plus 1 power. So, yeah. But, yeah. So I can see that.
If you are floating your Sunspot and he's also getting an additional plus 1 on top of that at the end of each turn, or your Nebula that you force your opponent to play onto the Nebula and she still gains plus 1 anyway. She gains like half of her power. That's still pretty effective. And then, of course, Misty Knight's giving plus 1 somewhere else. Anyway, on top of that, I really like him at Evo. So I think those are your 2 big homes. You said you wanted to try him and bounce. We'll see. I
want to, but I don't think it'll work. You're right. You're bouncing things back, so they're not going to benefit as much from him. So that's where I'm like, I wish it would work, but I don't think it's going to work. So might dabble in it, but whatever. But
keep in mind, for those of you that want to kind of build around Marvel Boy and try things, think of that type of deck like Haiva that runs 2 or 3 1-drops, and maybe look at decks like that where like you have maybe 2, 3, or even 4 1-drops in the deck that's not necessarily a dedicated Zoo deck, but it's one that can really leverage them, and that alone could make, because Marvel Boy over the course of the game will be like a 3/12.
Yeah, something else I've been considering too is just Marvel Boy in like a Black Swan Hit Monkey deck too, right? Like the 1-drops you play out on the final turn for 0 won't benefit as much early game, but you're adding 3 additional power plus your Hit Monkey on the final turn. You might be able to spread it out a little bit more. Does that make sense?
So you would go like turn 5, a 2-drop plus Black Swan.
Yeah.
Turn 6, you go Marvel Boy, Hit Monkey plus 2 to 3 1-drops.
Yeah.
And then Marvel Boy gives an additional 3 power on top of those as well. Hit Monkey's probably like a 3/12 at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see it.
Like, so, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to dabble because I do love playing 1-drops. One thing I will caution the audience, there is a high prevalence of Sandman right now, so a bunch of people are going to be being dicks. So War Machine might be very playable right now if you want to enjoy playing more than 1 card.
Oh yeah,
on the final turn. But yeah, so yeah, he's my number 1 too. Next week is Wiccan. On reveal, if you've spent all your energy this game, plus 2 max energy. For me,
so it's like a electro effect that checks if you've been spending your energy up until the point you've played him, and then you get the benefit from there. 4 is too late for me to really say you're benefiting a whole lot from that plus 2 energy, because you're on 5, you got 7, and on 6 you got 8, which is cool. In addition, with like you can go double 6-drop, I guess, with that. I don't know, feels weak to me, but I also understand the design. It's a cautious card. You don't want this to be too good.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like I get it. I think. I don't think it's saying much for me personally, but I think he is one of the better cards this month. But I'm probably going to skip this card as well as the next 2 we're going to discuss. Like, I don't like the requirements. I'll say that as far as this whole month or these next 2 cards, I don't like the requirements. But yeah, like something I've been thinking about is, okay, how do you build around Wiccan? Because he is a build around card, right? So I got to curve out 1, 2, and 3 costs. So then what am I doing with my turns 5 and 6, right? Am I like, am I just putting like a shit ton of like 1-drops, right? Or like 2 1-drops, 2 costs, and 2 3s, and then like Wiccan, and then a bunch of 6s. Like, what am I doing? Like, my brain is not visioning.
Keep in mind, the way he's worded, I don't think turns 5 and or I guess turn 5 really, not turn 6, because that's when the game ends. Turn 5, I don't believe you have to maintain his criteria.
No,
he's a non-reveal.
But I'm saying, like, what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna use that extra energy for?
You probably just use him as additional tool for ramp.
Yeah. So,
right? And you're trying to play like big 6 cost stuff, like maybe you're doing like long stuff with like Doctor Doom or whatever. I don't know. Just play good big stuff, I suppose.
Yeah, but how many big things are you putting in your deck? Because you also have to meet his criteria.
Probably 3.
Yeah.
3 6 costs.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, you know what you could do? Huh. You could play Quicksilver and Domino.
Yeah. What if, you know what? I wonder. Yeah, that's what people are saying. I'm like, eh. But I wonder if this is an excuse to play Zabu, right? Play a 1-drop, play a Zabu, toss him out on turn 3.
That would be significantly better, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's
it. And then maybe you can do. Yeah, that's fine, because then you've met his criteria. So
okay. If that works, I might pick him up because you could if you almost
also do Psylocke.
Yeah, so if you kind of played him like a different kind of Mr. Negative, you know,
just run Psylocke, run Zabu as your accelerators, and then run like maybe 3 to 4.
Yeah,
probably 3 1-drops to ensure that you have that option.
Yeah,
don't run Quicksilver Domino. That's
don't do that,
because then you're not going to draw Wiccan. So
yeah. So next up is Speed, which I personally
he's bad. Worst card of the
month. I was gonna say that worst card of the month. Like I mentioned this on Twitter, and I had a bunch of people fucking actualing me. Listen, I just want to say flat out, you're wrong.
3-6.
Yeah, I'm like, you're wrong. You're wrong.
4, 5, 6. Yeah, 3-6.
People are no.
It's for every turn. So because he's ongoing, that's right. It's not on the turn comes down. So the most he can be is an additional 6 power.
Yeah, 3/9.
Played all your cards every single turn. So he is a 3/9 is his ceiling. His ceiling is a 3/9. His floor is a 3/3 if you're played off. I guess a 3/4 because if you play him, I guess you could play him off curve. So he could be a 3/3 for the entire game. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's good.
No.
If he was a 3/5
here's what I've been saying all week, Brad. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, but you could get him to like a 3/7 consistent. Here's what I've been saying all week. Just fucking get Cassandra for free. Cassandra is a consistent 3/7, and she was free. If you just work towards it, now it's a little bit late, but
I would rather play like a Gladiator, Cassandra. I'd rather play Swordmaster than this probably. Give me my guaranteed 3/7, 3/8, 3/9, etc. That have much higher ceilings than this.
Yeah, I could play a turn 6 Swordmaster, right, and not worry about what it's discarding and whatever. But I will say this: if you need Jeff and Iron Lad, and you accidentally get Speed, go for it. Like Jeff and Iron,
a fantastic.
Yeah, that's where they fucked me too, because I love those variants, and I'm like, oh, you put me in a weird position.
I like the Iron Lad Jeff. I think that's fun that they're putting the high. I like the high Jeff variants, but I don't know if I will go for it. I'm
a big Max Rec fan, but Speed is just not it for me. The last up we have Hulkling. You're sold on him. I'm not.
I like him. I think he's cool. So for those of you who don't know, he is a 6/11 that says at the start of the game, he randomly grabs any 6 costs text and copies it for the rest of the game. So start of the game, he can become anything from an Alioth, a Magneto, to a Destroyer, or a Hela, or even an Agatha. So there are some really bad cards to grab, right? Or some that are kind of like meh. Yeah. As I'm sure Chris is looking to pull up all the 6 costs.
Yeah, let's do that.
So it's the worst of the worst. Like F tier, if this copies, you are the saddest of sad boys. Are probably Agatha and Destroyer.
Yep.
I don't think any other card is in that F tier, right? Of 6 costs.
Yeah, and I don't have the exact numbers. I think in Dara's video he has the numbers because whatchamacallit, Willow does his editing and puts together the numbers. But let me just rattle off cards that I would not want him to hit. Agatha, Giganto would kind of suck. Destroyer would kind of suck. Let's see. Those are the main bad ones.
Infinite would be bad.
Infinite would be bad. You know, I
think honestly there are 3 F tier bad cards. It's Infinite, Destroyer, and Agatha. Everything else is either mid, meaning it does literally nothing, like hitting Thanos.
Yeah.
Hitting Spectrum if you have no ongoings. Hitting Mockingbird might be pretty decent. That's actually a pretty good hit. Hitting Sasquatch would be fine, I guess. Scroll up a little bit. Hitting Vanilla Hulk, hitting Hela, hitting Magneto in a lot of cases, hitting Death, I guess.
Well, it wouldn't hit Death because that's a 8 cost.
Oh, she's an 8. APOC would be the other one that'd be like mid, like it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So there's a few that don't really do much, but then there's a lot that do a lot. Again, I think Mockingbird's really good. I think Sasquatch is good. I think Tribunal is actually one of my favorites. I love pulling Tribunal from Nick Fury. I love it because no one ever expects it, and randomly dropping a Tribunal feels amazing. Scar is good if you have other stuff that's coming down early that's big enough. Orca can be really good. It's literally just the same stat line as Orca anyway, so you get that. Odin's fantastic. Red Hulk is fantastic. Leader's fantastic. Null's fantastic. Helicarrier doesn't matter.
We'll see.
Doctor Doom is phenomenal.
Yeah. We'll see if I change.
Heimdall is great.
If I change my mind, it's just like a lot of these, like you're saying,
Blob?
they're mid.
Blob is great.
They're mid. We're like
Zola. Dude, Zola, come on.
But like like so many of these require a synergy, right? They require some sort of synergy. For Null, okay. I need you know.
I can tell that you are just not an Airsham gamer. You are not an Airsham gamer at all.
I got very bored. I got very bored of Airsham very fast.
The amount of times that I pull these random 6 drops, especially when playing Nick Fury a lot, you find synergies in games that you didn't think you'd have them, especially with cards like Arnim Zola and stuff like that.
But this is a lot different though, right? Like, how are you going to build? Do you have any deck ideas? Or are you just going to toss him in a good deck?
He's a generic card. He's not a build around. He is the equivalent of like a Red Hulk type of card that you just play as a top end.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll be proven wrong.
You could put him in a ramp deck, I suppose.
Yeah. Like I've been a lot pickier with cards lately, and yeah, if I see something very cool with him, like I don't see, like I could potentially see the fun. As you all know, I'm always like, it has to be fun or good, hopefully both. Potentially fun. I do like the randomness and what people can expect. That's why I do like Airsham, even though I don't play him that much. But I love card generation, you know? So, I don't know. Maybe.
Personally, here's what I wish his text was. Rather than at the start of the game copying a random 6 cost in the entire game, I wish it was copy a random 6 cost or the highest cost card available in your opponent's deck. Like a copycat where it I wish it just flat out stole it. So like imagine like you're going against Destroy and you steal your opponent's Null at the start of the game.
Yeah. Something like that would be good.
Maybe it'd be too good.
Maybe.
But maybe it's just copy and not steal. Then I think that'd be fine. Because that gives you information on what your opponent could have. And in a lot of cases, it lets you match your opponent, like a leader.
Yeah, it's very possible that like this is probably the one. If I had to say, this is the one I'm more on the fence on than any of the other ones. I'm pretty sure I do not like the requirements of Wiccan or Speed. This one potentially, like I might watch some games because the high rolls on this thing are great. Right? They're great.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact, there are going to be games when you're playing Hulkling against a Destroy deck and you're going to hit Null and you're going to be fucking over the moon. Right? I know that's going to happen. But I do see the high rolls of it. It's just, I'll have to wait and see. I might see people having a blast with this and I pull for it. But, yeah. And especially after I spend 2 weeks of saving my resources, I might get him. But something I was telling Brad earlier, I'm very excited for the other cards coming this season or in the upcoming season. The
Spidey season and then the Symbiote season, which I guess we'll have to dedicate the entire next episode to talking about all those.
Yeah, there's.
Did we talk about? We'll figure out between now and then, but I think we did talk about the most recent ones, the not the symbiote ones, but the spider people one.
Yeah, potentially.
I remember talking about the clone thing of
Oh
the
yeah,
Scarlet Spider.
yeah. We
So,
might.
but we could revisit those, but we could focus on the symbiote one
Yeah,
next
and it's
episode.
it's fine too, right? The meta's changing. You get balance changes and stuff, so we
Sure.
might have different opinions. And these people
And
love
there might
hearing
be
us
some
talk.
changes in the data mines for these cards. So cool.
Yeah. So, anyways, this should be a decent enough season. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's all I got. Yeah,
Yay! We did it.
you have any closing thoughts?
Nope. Love you. Appreciate you. You guys are amazing.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you in the next one.